Hi everyone, in this video we're going to look at the layering system. The layering system is all about what I wear and why I wear it. So it's a little bit unusual that when we're outside we might want to use a different system of clothing than if we're inside. Instead of just wearing a pair of jeans, I want to think about outdoor trousers, or I want to think about leggings. Instead of just wearing a cotton t-shirt, I might think about what my underlayer will be. That might be things like sports clothing on top, and also a consideration of what we wear when it starts to get a little bit colder. So this video is going to explain the layering system from bottom to top, and then look at the different options you might have when using that system. So before we go anywhere, first thing we need to think about is our underclothes. We need to ensure that we have comfortable socks, normally for walking. So those socks will normally be thick socks with a layer of thin socks as well. When we think about underclothes, both bottom and top, they need to be comfortable and they need to be supportive without having any spaces that might invite rubbing. So something too loose or too tight isn't a good idea. When you're thinking underclothing, think wicking, sports type underclothing, and then think comfort first. Next, we need to think about what we're going to wear as our base layer. Okay, my base layer. What I need to think about is what I'm wearing right next to my skin after my underclothing. You need to think about something that's wicking, which allows sweat to be drawn away from the skin, both on your top and your bottom. For me, that looks like a pair of outdoor trousers, which are quick drying and wicking. And in this instance, I'm wearing a quick drying, wicking synthetic top that allows sweat to move away from my body. Other options might be a merino wool t-shirt. Merino wool is really effective in allowing our clothes to wick away, but unlike things like your synthetics, they don't retain a smell when they become wet and sweaty. Merino wool is much more expensive, but is always a really good option. So in thinking base layers, we're thinking something that will wick sweat away from us, both top and bottom. I could look at long sleeve skins, for example, or I could look at long johns as well underneath my trousers. But the important thing with the base layer is it wicks sweat away from you. It's either made of wool or a synthetic material for sports. Things that aren't so appropriate are cotton tops that might retain sweat but not keep you warm. Next is my mid layer. My mid layer is a layer that I want to wear to help keep me a little bit warmer. It's not going to protect me from the outside environment, but it is going to keep me a little bit warmer. That could be woolen jumpers or fleece-like material like this. For me, I often prefer to wear a woolen material, but fleeces can be appropriate. Wool's better because it's easier to pack and it will stay warmer even if it gets rained on. Once we think about our mid layers, we might also think about something warm to go on our legs. So we can look at winter weight trousers, which are thicker, possibly like ski trousers, and they might be a little bit more insulated from the weather. Personally though, I'm quite warm when I walk, so I wear the same trousers most year round. Mid layers need to be warm, they need to be packable, and they need to give us the opportunity to be able to go back down to our lower wicking layer. After this, I need to start thinking about my next layer up. This is going to be the beginning of my protective layers. We're going to look at things like jumpers that are much thicker, and also coats or jackets that are there to insulate you, like this shoe lay. This shoe lay is pile lined, which means it's got a synthetic and a thick liner in it. On the inside, it also has a reflective coating. A big advantage of this one is it's relatively inexpensive, costing around 60 to 80 pounds, but it's also quite compressible. The disadvantage to this, there's no arms. If it's going to be much colder, think about a warm insulated jacket. Things like your North Face jackets and Brad jackets might be appropriate, but they're quite big. If they are big, they're often downlined. which means if they get wet, they might not work. So when thinking about a warm layer, I want something that's going to keep me insulated. Perhaps just my body, if I wanted to be more packable, but I can also think about my arms, and even if it's really cold, insulated trousers. After that, we need to think about what happens if it rains, and how we're going to protect ourselves from that. So, on top of everything, I need to think about wearing my waterproof outer. Obviously, if it's not raining, I don't need this on. Your waterproof outer should be fully waterproof, from head to feet. With a hood, it should have some sort of adjustability around the sides. Make sure you can keep the heat out of your face. I need to make sure I have waterproof trousers on as well that allow me to move my legs properly and not hinder my movement whilst I'm walking. If I want, I can wear my waterproof outer just over my base layer, or I can use it with a combination of everything else I'm wearing to ensure that I keep warm and dry. The important things to consider are, is it properly waterproof? Is it the right item for what I'm wanting to use? So for example, if it's only spitting, maybe I just use top. But often, if it's going to be raining for more than 10 to 20 minutes, I need to make sure that I have my tops and bottoms. For your DofE, no matter the weather, it's a requirement that you bring a waterproof jacket and trousers, and that jacket needs to have a hood. There's a lot of varieties with waterproof jackets, and that'll be covered in another video. After I've got my outer layer on, I need to think about protecting my extremities, especially if it's cold. Some things I might consider are, is it sunny? Do I need a sun hat? Do I need sun cream? Even if you have darker skin, it's important to consider sun cream as a really good addition to the things that you wear. Sun cream protects you from getting burns, but it also protects you from the unseen consequences of being out in UV light, which might not be seen for many years. That includes scarring and can get worse as you grow older. So as well as my waterproofs, I'm thinking about hats and gloves, like these. These gloves are a thin but relatively well insulated glove. They allow me to use my hands well, but aren't going to get really wet if it starts raining. If it's going to be really cold, you can consider, instead of gloves, but mittens that go over the top and have a waterproof layer. Those mittens definitely need to be insulated and can be used over the top of gloves. If you're ever out in just the winter and it's snow on the ground and you're looking to work all day, you'd also consider an underglove underneath your main glove. So that's the layering system. Starting from the bottom, I need to think about the underclothes that I wear. I need to think about comfortable, but also wicking. Next, I need to consider what I wear next to my skin. These are going to be my base layers. After that, I'm thinking mid-layer, jumpers, insulating layer, like coats and gilets, and then my outside waterproofs for my outer layer. That's a quick overview of the system that we like to see, so that we can have our layers be able to be removed and added as the day progresses, it gets colder or warmer. There'll be more videos similar to this about waterproofs coming up.